right, so with that said, let me introduce AJ and Tigran. AJ Rounds is a co-founder here at RevRoad. He's also the chief marketing officer and a great friend. And he has been instrumental in building RevRoad and helping our companies achieve success. He's got a lot of background and experience. He's worked in a number of different industries. He's worked with direct sales companies, building their organizations and their marketing. He's worked in oil and gas on $500 million projects and has made an incredible addition here at RevRoad. In addition to that, if you don't know this already, he has a little bit of a fetish. He likes limos. He likes them so much that he pretty much almost always owns a limo. And every now and then he'll trade it in for a different limo. So if you're ever looking for a limo, AJ's the guy to talk with. He also has an incredible family with great kiddos. One of the things I like to share is that you notice how clean RevRoad is? It's always clean. Well, when we went to find a cleaning crew that we could hire, we got this application from the most interesting group. It was AJ's kids. They applied. And they came and they had a PowerPoint presentation and they showed us their skills and we hired them on the spot. And they do a fantastic job every single week. We're so proud of that and so proud of them. So AJ's creating young entrepreneurs in his own house as he does this. All right, so we're really excited to have him be a part of the workshop. Tigran and I have had the opportunity to work together for many years prior to RevRoad at Imagine Learning. And I have an enormous love for Tigran and his great skill set. He is the video producer here at RevRoad. He oversees the entire video department and creates incredible storytelling experiences. He tells stories in ways that are impactful, that draw emotion, or that explain things very well, or that get to the why, what, or how, whatever it is that's needed in that particular instance. And he can tell those stories with words, with images, with sound, and with silence. And so it's a real thrill to have him speaking with us today. So with that in mind, let's all welcome AJ and Tigran to the stage.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Darren. That was a fantastic intro. We appreciate that. Okay, who here is excited to learn more about video? Oh, man, that was weak. Come on, who's here is excited to learn about video?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what we're talking about.
I like this. So, free lunch for anyone that can tell us what we talked about last year in our video presentation. I'd already planned it. Does anyone remember what we talked about last year in our video presentation? Oh, man.
Good.
Crickets. I guess no free lunch here then. Shoot. Yeah. Storytelling. Good job, Robert. Thank you. Storytelling and then copy versus stealing. And we're going to incorporate some of those elements today in our presentation. But what we really want to talk about is if you have a great video crew and lots of video equipment, it's easy to make great videos. But what about you? If you're just starting your company, can you make a great video just starting your company? You actually can. And we're going to talk about how you can create a video with what you have in your pocket right here.
Because that was the question last time that was asked that
exactly
we wanted to answer thoroughly.
Exactly. We had a question that came up and they said, hey, this is all great, your process and everything, but how would I, as a starting entrepreneur, build a video for my company that really needs it? So we're going to talk about that today. So we're really excited. So let's get started. So making videos with minimal budget. First, that requires proper planning. So you need to plan out what you're going to shoot and how you're going to shoot it. Then you need, we're going to give you some tips and techniques of how to shoot videos so they're engaging and they're successful. And then talk about some equipment that you can get that's just really, really inexpensive that fits right on your phone, right?
Yep.
And then the cost of what those would be. And then ultimately we want you guys, if you have questions, we want to answer those questions for you so that we can get you out and producing amazing videos for your company. So with that, Tigran, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So let's jump right in. So we'll give you guys a crash course on guerrilla filmmaking. So components of video. Before we get started, we need to understand what it entails. So video is a conglomerate art form. It includes literature as an art form, visual, and music as art form. You need to understand what these aspects are because video is really a heavy lift. If a picture paints 1,000 words, then a video certainly paints 1,000 pictures there, and thank you for setting that up for us.
Plant right here.
Yes. And there's so many videos out there.
That's right. So we wanted you, and if you want to take a picture of this, that's fine, but we wanted to show you there's a lot of different types of videos that you can create for your business. Now, obviously, some of them are going to be more involved and more time intensive and cost more than others. But we're going to talk about a few of these, mainly testimonials and interview style videos today. But there's an array of videos you can do for your company, and you can do them all via your phone. We're going to show you an example of that here in just a minute.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of the common ones.
Right.
So when we say let's do a video production, you guys probably think of something like this, where the guy is heavily equipped with his camera, his gadgets. I don't even know what adapters he's got on there. But don't think that way, because you can make videos and content that you need to communicate to our audiences just with a setup just like that. So
It's kind of common to think about videographers as those guys with the big, huge cameras on their shoulders at the NBA games
and it's
the NFL
understandable.
games. And so that's what we
Traditionally,
that's what we think of as a videographer, but it's actually all of us right here. We can be videographers.
it's in our pockets. We have proof of that. And AJ, you want to talk about this one?
So who here knows the company Bentley Cars? Does anyone know that company? Okay, does anyone have a Bentley? And if you do, you're going to be my instant hero. Aston Martin,
Bentley.
pretty close.
Good.
Okay, pretty close. Well, Bentley, as we know, they're a very luxury, high-end brand. But they had a theory. They thought, hey, if we can film our products with an iPhone, anyone can. And they set out to do that and to test that theory, and this is the result. It's actually pretty impressive.
Actually, the car interior space is a living space. You need to have your own information inside a car, but at the same time, how you integrate is very important.
You cannot be in a closed cocoon anymore, so this is why you need technology. You need to integrate into a car. When you have a car which is performing a certain way, we have torque, we have power, we go extremely fast when you need it, and the same thing applies to the technology we are using into the car. You have to be able to always adapt to the mood of the person. So it's about having the potential of having incredible speed of communication and using the car and using the tools of the car.
Technology is absolutely critical for modern cars, but this
But every single angle, every single aspect you saw in that video was shot on the iPhone. So listen, if they can do it, we can do it, right? On our iPhones, because we have way better iPhones than back then.
Quick disclaimer though. Sorry, my audio is not working. They did use a little bit of help. They did have a stabilization on the iPhone. They had an adapter for a lens, which we will talk about. So production, so video. So when you get started, you want to talk about 5 questions. Answer 5 questions for yourselves. What's your goal and purpose? Why are you doing this video to start with, which will help you answer the second one. Who is your audience that you are communicating to? You need to know these things. Have a budget. What's your budget? And I know we're trying to keep it short, keep it small, but at least have some sort of a number in mind so that you can have a boundary where you're ready to break if you need to, or stay within. Also, video length. So beforehand, know that you got to keep it short. Right now, social media is, our attention spans are half a second long. So keep it short.
90 seconds, 120.
Yeah, around
there.
3 minutes max for common videos. And then comparables. I kind of left this last because I want to segue to what's out there. There's so much content out there right now. We're bombarded with all kinds of videos, all kinds of elements that exist out there. To sit and think that you can create something original from the get-go is a very difficult, heavy, audacious task. So instead of doing that, research and look around and find and steal elements that you like, combine them. It won't be plagiarism if you do it right. Pablo Picasso said, bad artists copy, good artists steal, right? What he meant by that is if you take the elements you like from everywhere that it exists, combine it and improve on it, suddenly it becomes your own, then it's not plagiarism, it's not copy, you've improved on it.
And that's, you know, and I know none of us here have done this, right? But you start watching one video on YouTube, right? And then it's 2, and then it's 10, and then 4 hours later you look up and you're still watching videos, right? So there's so much out there that you can reproduce to make it seem like yours, that to create original content is great, but probably secondary to just coming up with something really good.
Yeah, and you probably know an example. Book of Life and Coco, Pixar movie that came out around the same time period. Similar, very similar, but they're not, you wouldn't say they're copies. They're good steals, because they are different. Okay, so video creation process includes 3 phases. We call pre-production, production, and post-production. Basically, plan, do, polish. If you're thinking about having a small budget, small production, you want to keep all these productions in these phases in mind and not sacrifice any of them. So let's jump in for pre-production for a real quick second and talk about story arc. I know we mentioned this last time. Here's a simple 3-act structure of typical Hollywood movie. You have an act 1, act 2, act 3, culmination, beginning, middle, progression, climax, and then a resolution at the end. This is an arc similar to one of our videos that we do. We follow the same pattern. There's always a beginning, always a middle, and always an end. We start with something, introduce the problem, talk about solutions, build it up, share the vision. There's a moment of what we call climax, or the moment of sell, and then there's a resolution, payoff, and then we like to end it with a call to action. After they watch the video, where do they go? How do they perform? How do they act?
And Tigran, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
I mean, the way that you build this, it saves time and money, especially if you're doing this, you know, bootstrapping, because
Yes.
you're not going to have to rework and redo it as long as your climax, we're calling it, is powerful enough
Exactly.
and engaging enough.
Exactly. You need to understand that where everything needs to fit before you go into creating them. It saves you time. Once you have that picture, that idea in mind, then you can do this. What this is just the outline. Before you even get started and start typing script or holding a camera, everything needs to start with a pen and a paper and a napkin if you need to. Just scratch it out. Put a timeline, beginning, middle, and an end, and start laying out. Because you want to visually kind of have a bird's eye view of what's
Right.
going on, so you can see the potholes.
And plan it out.
Plan it out and see
methodically.
what's required before you jump in. Again, tying into saving you time later on, which is the most expensive commodity these days. Once you have the outline in a bird's eye view and you understand it, how it's going to look like, you might go through a couple of iterations of kind of this outline. Then you can convert that, transfer that into a script format.
Mm-hmm.
This is a simple script that we use, just a simple template. We'd like to simplify the script as much as we can because these are going to be in the hands of talent. Our actors are going to read it, so keep it simplified. If you need to use visual aids, clip art to help you guide, go for it. One side is the visual, the other side is audio. Also, this is good because then you can have your talent rehearse,
Right.
send them before, they can read over it.
And it can be very simple,
Yeah,
like
please.
Tigran's saying. I mean, this looks a little complex, but some videos are just a couple sentences. So it can fit and be tailored to what you're building as far as your video goes.
Yeah, you don't want to complicate things and
Exactly.
confuse them. It's supposed to be transferred your vision to them and they understanding what's going on. Once you are done with the pre-production phase, scripts are written and multiple iterations have gone through and it's solid, then you can move into production. And for production, we like to focus on 4 things that you need to pay attention to: audio, light, location, and coaching talent. So let's start with audio. And I put this, we both decided what is most important, and we wanted to put it in chronology. Audio is most important. And I actually have a proof for what audio is. You ready?
What it sounds like to have bad audio for your video. I have a Nikon D5300 and the visuals are okay. The visuals are actually really good, but the sound quality is horrible. There is echo in the room, you can hear the traffic on the outside, and my voice is not isolated. And again, with bad audio, your audience will click away.
So this is what it sounds like with the lavalier microphone. The noises from the outdoors and the echo of the room are now gone. And most importantly, I've isolated my voice and it's clear and crisp. And I'm standing mere about 3 feet from...
So I like this video. The gentleman did a good job of comparing. He first recorded it with his phone with no microphone. It was hard to hear, and I'm sorry it was difficult to hear, but that was the whole point. Like, it will be difficult to hear. You put it on speakers in a PA system, it will be difficult to hear. You want to have a microphone like this. And we'll talk about the stuff that he used.
And as Tigran was saying, that's one of the most critical components of any video. I mean, when you go see videos on the big screen, that's the first thing they advertise is, you know, Dolby and surround stereo
Exactly.
and everything, because it's important.
In fact, Kelly Baker, who is the sound editor for a major Hollywood films, Good Will Hunting, Finding Forrester, he said audio is 60% of the watching experience. Visual is 40. We can tolerate bad visuals, but we can never tolerate bad audio. So if you have money for either audio or lights, buy audio.
Go audio, yeah.
Sacrifice lights for audio if you have to.
And we'll give you some ideas of some good equipment for audio in just a minute.
We'll definitely talk about those.
Mm-hmm.
So light. When we enter into a room and we want to film in a corner, what we usually like to do is kind of pull our fist in front of us and just rotate around the room and go in every corner and kind of find on the stages, you know, you can find kind of the most illuminated our fist is. Now, why we do fist, not a palm? We can do a palm, but on a palm, there are no contours. When you create a fist, then you create contours so you can see shadows a little more clearly. So what you want to do is kind of find the location where your fist is most illuminated. Here's an example that we did. Farther corner, close corner, different corner of the room. From the look of it, what do you think is the best version where you want to film?
What do you guys think?
Yeah, the bottom below, right? The bottom right one, where it's turned to the window. That's the most illuminated, at least, because you want illumination. You don't want shadows. To demonstrate my point, here's a picture from dressing room, simple dressing room, 2 dressing rooms. One is the light is positioned above, and the other light is positioned in front of the mirror. They're softer lights. You can see that one is creating shadows on the face and on the shirt as well. The other one isn't. It has eliminated the shadows. By the way, this picture was taken from an article that was doing research on dressing rooms in retail stores to see if sales increase based on lighting. So they know the trick. Here's another one where you can see a difference. There's shadows at first. H&M knows what they're doing over there. You know, it's a lot softer. You know, you don't see any shadows or contours on the face. Next, location. Location is also very important to go and scout and try things out. Here's an example. For one of our videos, we found a location. We took a picture of it before even starting shooting. We just tried to see if it's going to work. We brought it back. We put some graphics on it, see if it's going to work. We did a second try. Then the second try, the location looked good, but the light was behind the camera or in front of the camera, kind of shooting towards us. The graphics were lost. We tried another corner. Now, the graphics looked good, but the subject is not illuminated. There's light behind it. We found another corner where finally we could see graphics properly, and we could see the subject is well illuminated, and the hallway that creates that contrast is actually what we wanted, so that foreground is illuminated, background is dark. You want to create that contrast. This isn't even camera yet. We haven't talked about camera. This is simply choosing your layers where you want to film, increasing quality, production quality, without touching a camera so far.
And part of this too, Tigran, is for those that are going to be producing their own videos, is you want to find somewhere that fits with your brand, right? So if you're modern and trendy, you want to find a location that fits that feel, that look and feel.
Absolutely, yeah.
By the way, shout out to Elios for some of these shots. Love that.
These are a project we did for one of our companies. And then next is coaching. And AJ, I want you to talk about coaching.
Okay, so coaching. So who here is super comfortable in front of a camera and just loves it. Stand up, raise your hand. Actually, you need to stand up because you're on camera, right? So stand up if you love cameras. Bree, I know
Thanks,
that.
Bree.
Ben's great. Okay, gentleman in the blue. Okay, you guys are awesome. For the rest of us, right, we're going to talk about some coaching tips on how we can feel comfortable in front of the camera, but most importantly, how we can coach those that we're filming as well. So we're going to watch a quick video that gives us a couple fun tips. Feel free to dance if you'd like, and then we'll talk about them afterward.
If you stand real still and you look too stiff, then people will say, I can't stand you. So you gotta shake it up and you gotta get loose before you speak to the camera. Hands out your pocket, smile on your face. If you mess things up, gotta laugh at your mistakes. It's okay to do multiple takes.
It may sound silly. It might 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 sound silly.
Have a friend encourage you to be great.
Yeah, you got it. You'll work it through. Shake it. Ew. Smile it out. Shake it out. Just give me a little shake. There you go. Yeah.
It's all about keeping it light. That's the trick to getting things right. So shake it out and have fun when the red light goes on.
There it is.
Awesome. So when you're in front of the camera, you got to keep it light, keep it loose. And Sumitra was a great example of this. This is Anastasia. And she did a great job in the video that we recently produced with her. And so let's go through some of these tips on how to coach your talent. Number one, you got to be open. Your body position needs to be inviting. Okay, what does this tell you? Right, this is closed. This is cold. This is don't let anyone in. Okay, so open and loose. All right. Next one is, again, loosen up. Be relaxed. If you need to, move around a little bit before you get on camera. And then breathe. That's the most important one. So everyone, let's do this, okay? We're going to do it. You're supposed to do it 3 times. We're going to do it once, right? Just before you get on the camera, okay? So breathe in deeply, count to 10. Breathe out and count to 10. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I feel better. How about you?
Because
you guys?
They're not going to be professional talent, so
that's right.
We got to do everything we can.
And the tendency is to I want to get it out and get done and get off the camera, right? But we want to breathe and just relax, okay? Don't be afraid to mess up. That's what post-editing is for, right? We're going to use some great tools for that.
Because they will.
They will. And let's be honest, bloopers are the best anyway.
Nature of it.
Okay. Next one is smile. And a lot of you can't see this, but we have a little smiley face on our TV in the back to remind us to smile. You need to smile. Much more inviting. Slow down, obviously. The tendency is to speed up when you're on camera, so slow down. The next one is square up to the camera. And that doesn't mean, straight on, but it also doesn't mean like a side profile.
Nothing awkward.
Or some weird angle that you can't really see the person. So just make sure that you're in connection with the camera in some way. And then check your stance. And a lot of times we'll be filming from the waist up, but you don't want to be, hunkered over to the side or leaning back or something weird like that, right? So you want to be, feet about shoulder width apart, firmly planted. None of this cowboys, and of course none of this. And just relax, arms to the side, and
it's just
a calm
psychology.
Stance, right?
You want to see it with the audience's
viewpoint
instead of the camera, because they would tend to please you. But it's not about that. It's just about appearing appropriate and
being genuine.
Be genuine,
exactly.
and so it comes across, and then nothing that draws attention to it. There's a trick that you don't want to, have the talent put their feet close together because they seem to sway or get tired or move around. That's why just kind of
just a nice stance. Yeah, firm stance. So these things will help your talent. So now we'll talk about some interview tips on how to interview or help your talent better interview on camera.
Yeah, so often cases we have videos that require interviews where the interviewer is interview and they're not talking straight to camera. For that, again, we talked about location, but find a quiet location where it's not close to train tracks or traffic outside. Lighting, contrast, so we talked about lighting, again, creating that contrast with the foreground and the background to add quality to the video. Comfortable for the talent, make sure they are sitting down in a place, because it could be 30 minutes or longer, make sure they're sitting down in a place where they're comfortable. Stay away from rolling chairs, desk chairs that have casters on, because they seem to just fidget, create noise. And camera needs to be at eye level at all times. There's a psychology behind this too. Camera needs to be at eye level of the interviewer and interviewee. Because think about it, if it's above, then you're talking up to the camera. If it's up to the audience, if it's down, then you're talking down to the audience. So again, psychology. So always required to keep the camera eye level of the horizon, so it doesn't feel like they're looking down or up. Camera orientation. We get asked this a lot, like, which phone? How do I hold it? What do I do? This is not about vertical versus horizontal. It depends where your audio is going. If it's going on a Facebook feed or social media platforms, Instagram, whatever it is, then yeah, film from vertical. That's totally okay. If it's going on a screen or a projector like these, TV, then no, hold it vertical. Just think of the output. Where is it going to be seen? Because you will lose space if you film vertical and it's going to go on horizontal or opposite, whatever. You'll use space from. It'll become smaller on the screen. So think of the output. Gain their trust when you're talking to them. Nobody's going to open up to you immediately and give you their honest, sound bites if they don't trust you. So if it takes 15 minutes, 20 minutes to talk to them and open them up a little bit to get their trust, then spend some time. Like, Benson, hey, how you doing, man? How's it going? Like, what's your aspirations? What's your passions? Open them up. Like, it's okay. And listen to their answers. Always be listening to their answers. Never look down or think of your next question, because that would lose that trust immediately. That would create a disconnect immediately. Then you would have to start that process again.
We all know those people, right, that look like they're listening, but they're just thinking of the next thing they're going to say.
Yeah, you just can't help it.
That's what we want to do.
Yeah, you can't help it. As you're like, okay, what am I? Okay, awkward silences. Don't be afraid of silences, because there could be thinking. They might add something if you give them a silence. It might look awkward to you, but to them, they're thinking. And the camera, don't worry about it. You'll cut the silence out if you need to.
And some of the most powerful moments in some of the videos we've created for some of our portfolio companies have been that pause and that reflection, right? So it's okay to have that.
And all the good stuff comes really at the end of the stuff, at the end of the conversation. First 15 minutes is just throw it away. You're not even going to use it. And then restate the question in your answer always, because sometimes the interviewer is not going to be seen. So always help them to train them, and they'll forget. So always make sure you tell them to restate the question. So for example, like, AJ, what's your favorite color? If that was the question.
Color is red.
My favorite color is red. So he put the question in the answer itself, just so that
instead of just saying red.
Then
right?
Yeah, how do I make sense of that if I don't hear the answer? So just simple steps. The last one I'll show an example. It's the rule of thirds, and it's very important to focus on this if you want to create quality and production value in the camera. And it's thanks for Ken for volunteering his picture.
Shout out to Kone, right?
I don't know if he's here, but thanks, Ken. So we were doing an interview with Ken, and we have a tendency to put people in dead center when we're filming them. In an interview setting, when they're not looking into camera, no need. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Put them in either side. There's a grid. We call it the rule of thirds. Divide the frame into 3 parts from top and bottom, and make sure their eyes are in the general area of the crosshairs. Of course, not the bottom ones, because unless it's a landscape, you put them in the bottom. But if it's an interview, talking head, then it would be either side. If he's looking left, then put him on the right. If he's looking right, then put him on the left, just because you want to give him a little breathing room. Nose space, we call it, just a little bit of gazing space in front.
And not right, like in front of them, right?
Yeah, certainly not
a little bit
in
further
front.
from the camera, a couple feet.
So this is a good example of both contrast is created, even though it was a light area surroundings. We used the natural light as much as we could. The background was contrasted. The background is a little darker than the foreground, and he's in the rule of thirds. Equipment. Yes, we've been waiting for this.
The
moment.
exciting slide. Yes.
That was a good slide. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of adapters, cords, wires, batteries that we didn't talk about. This is just the bare bones. So there's a good lighting kit that we've used, eSmart, Amazon. You can buy them. It's decent, it's affordable, and it's very decent to use. Fluorescent lights, decent amount of power in the lights. So that's the lens that the Bentley ad that we watched earlier used. They have adapter. It comes with a case. This is a good one because it's a little expensive, but it is good because when you have those clip-on lenses on phones, sometimes they don't line up on the lens, and it creates blur or just quality isn't high. But these guys sell it with a case. So you just take your case off, or any phone, they have cases for any phones, and then you put the lens on the case itself, and it's more sturdy. A lot more quality there. The Osmo is it's decent right now. DJI makes a good gimbal to use for the phones.
Which holds it steady and keeps it from shaking.
Yes.
Right?
The iPhone 10s, most phones now have stabilization within, but it's a digital stabilization. Some have mechanical stabilization in the cameras, but the gimbal adds a little more smoother if you need to follow a car or something. That's how the Bentley's guys did it. Simple tripod, fluid head. Magnus makes a fluid head so that it doesn't creak or stop or oil everywhere. It's just a simple, good quality one. And then the microphone that the gentleman used earlier to demonstrate the audio difference. So this is a phone mic. It comes in a 6-foot wire. If you need an extension or adapter to it, you can create, or you can add a adapter wire to make it longer if you need to. And then it connects directly into the phone, and you have a nice lavalier like this. Not over the ear, but like a nice chest one for interviews. Software.
And it's all on your phone, not on a desktop.
Yes,
You can do it
we
all
wanted
on
to
your phone.
specifically pick things that didn't require you to go and buy heavy equipment and machinery and computers and monitors. You can do what you shot on your phone or iPad on the phone and on the iPad as well. So Filmic Pro, on the left side of the column is the production, and the right side is the editing, post-production software. So on the Filmic Pro, $15, it's very good, very decent. It creates everything in your phone. It's autofocus, auto iris, auto everything. It creates everything into manual, so you can control everything. Prompter, it's a good teleprompter app. We don't like using teleprompter, but if you have to, there is one. We don't like it because you can see it reading. Now the quality of the video is so good that you can see the eyes following the script. It's just.
But it does
there's a
help
disconnect.
if your talent is concerned about memorizing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, if there's a lot of
verbiage.
stuff and you have
Yeah.
to, that's okay. You can pull it up on iPad and use it. Oops, sorry. Magic Hour is just a cool app that tells you anywhere on the planet where you are. It tells you where the golden hour is. Sometimes for photography and videography, people like the sunsets. That's just a good one that it tells you where those windows
cool.
are. LumaFusion is a good one. It has for editing, it has a multi-track and 4K support. So when you film 4K, you can output 4K as well. And it has multi-track, so you can add different tracks of videos, overlay them and stuff, so it's a really good one. Of course, there are free options. Be wary of the free options. They do have in-app purchases. Adobe Rush is pretty decent, though. I don't think it has in-app purchases. Maybe now that I said it, it does now. They updated it. But yeah.
Cool. So everything we've shown you, and of course the goal is here. The goal here is to film as economically as possible, right? So everything we've shown you is, if you give us the total, it's less than $1,000. So the notion that you have to spend tens of thousands to create awesome videos is not accurate. You can do all this for less than $1,000, based on what we've shown you. So we're hopeful this is helpful for all of you that are entrepreneurs and that want to create your own videos, okay? So just to recap, with proper planning, okay, you can create a great plan for your video and save rework time and waste time. We've given you some tips and techniques on how to shoot and film those videos, and giving you some ideas on equipment and cost. So now, with that being said, we hope this has been helpful. What questions do you have that we can answer? Mm-hmm. And if you would, just wait for the mic, and we'll take for time, probably 2 or 3 questions. Right here in front,
Yes,
Robert.
sir. Robert.
You didn't cover subtitles, and your mic that you showed was the kind that goes into a phone that's not an iPhone X.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you suggesting for that? Those 2 issues, because subtitles become very important when you're like on LinkedIn, for example. People are in
Right.
cubicles; they don't want to have
They
the
turn
audio
off the
running.
volume and
They turn off the volume, so people
Right.
think they're working, and they're watching your video.
Perfect. Good question. So sounded like you had 2 parts, subtitles and audio. So subtitles, what we do is we just use the simple YouTube subtitles. We upload it in YouTube. YouTube auto creates it. They have a good computerized version that just listens to the audio and converts it into subtitles. We do follow, make sure everything is pronunciation or grammatically everything is correct. We do edits, and then you can export that file into a SRT file that can be uploaded to Facebook and LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn is I think they link from YouTube, don't they? It's an embed. So yeah, we use YouTube for subtitles. Good question. And audio? Did
just
you have
get
a
an adapter.
microphone? Yeah, so you're talking about the adapter. So sometimes if you look on, you're right, that had a mini jack. The phones don't have that anymore. They have kits with the adapters.
You just get an adapter.
If you look
Yeah.
for Amazon and look for iPhone kits, they come with an adapter.
Great question.
Good question. Thanks, Rob.
Questions?
Pete? Yes, sir.
Other question? Pete. Good to see you here.
You too. Tigran, any thoughts on music background? I've always loved a good product demo video, and some of the good ones have just some audio, but how do you not be illegal? How do you have it not be boring? And elevator
question.
Good
music,
question.
what's some good sources, as well as just how do you pick something
Yes.
that's good, works?
Good question, Pete.
Great
Thanks.
question.
I'm glad you asked. Yes, because we didn't talk about audio. Audio is very sensitive because for corporate world, yes, we do not want to use copyrighted music. There are options. There are stock libraries out there that you can purchase, $20, $30 a track. Audio Jungle is one. Also, YouTube has free ones. If you search royalty-free music on YouTube, they will bring a playlist of track after track that are free to use.
Mm-hmm.
So there are resources that you can search for. And please, yes, don't use copyrighted music. You will get in trouble.
Good question.
Yes,
Right here in
ma'am.
the front.
Thanks. One thing I wanted to say too on the captions is you can go to rev.com and they charge you like $1 a minute and they'll do it all for you. But on that same note, can you share a little bit about your strategy as far as where you put your videos? Do you always upload them to YouTube and then upload them to LinkedIn as well and elsewhere? Or if it's made specifically for LinkedIn, do you kind of not put it up on YouTube? Or what's your strategy there as
Good
far as
question.
where you're putting
AJ,
all of
do you
your
wanna
videos?
Take that one.
Yeah, great question. What we do first is it in an MP4 file, right? And then we want to export it to YouTube, and then you make sure you have all your headers in and your tags, descriptions, everything like that. And that's where we use videos everywhere but Facebook and LinkedIn because they have their own system, right? But with our videos, we use the same process. So we'll go through and tag them and put in headers and descriptions and then upload them to Facebook and then upload them to LinkedIn separately. But everything else we use YouTube because we want that traffic and those hits and those views. Great question.
All righty. We got maybe the last one right over there.
Outside of subtitles, do you have preferred software for putting up like actual titles, like not subtitles of what people are saying, but just the text on the
Titles on the
on
video?
the video?
Yeah, good question. The ones, Luma does that, the apps that I mentioned. Adobe Rush does it as well in the app itself. You can do it on the phone or on the iPad. Yes, good question.
Thanks so much, you guys. We hope this was helpful and you got some good pictures. Go out and create some amazing videos with your phone.
We'll be around. Approach us if you need.
Yeah, so we've all seen there we go. We've all seen the billboards shot on an iPhone. They're incredible videos too. So you just got a good example of how you can make that happen yourself on a budget. Thanks for sharing that. And for those of you who did not see the previous workshop that these guys did on creating videos and telling stories, That's at RevRoad.com, and you'll want to check that out. It's on our YouTube channel.